Welcome to Late Night with the Davey. I have no idea what the heck happened with that intro. I thought I had the brand new intro all loaded up. Oh, you know what it is, guys? Technical difficulties here on my side. I switched. God, that's so embarrassing. I switched to the little screens here on my StreamYard, and I thought it would carry over the videos that I had loaded in there. So this is actually Late Night with the Davey episode 54, and it's not the Mad Monster Roundup. We are going to be talking with Jonathan Earl of TV Snack Break. I'm super pumped to have him on the channel. Love his work. If you haven't already, followed him over on Instagram, I highly recommend doing just that. Really, really good stuff. We're gonna show that off and everything here in a few before we bring Jonathan on to talk about his journey as an artist. And we're both into punk rock and pop punk and all that kind of stuff. So get ready for some music talk, folks. I hope you're amped up and ready for that. Speaking of being amped up and ready, thank you so much to everybody that kicked it on the live stream last night. A little late night with the Davey on a Tuesday, or not technically late night with the Davey, but I covered some news. And for those of you that missed any of that, yeah, that stream went on for 10 hours and 45 minutes. That was epic. Yeah, I woke up, today and was like, did I really do that? Yes, I really did. You guys were amazing, reaching the super chat goals, keeping me up all friggin' night, playing music for you guys, and literally playing guitar and then just listening to music with you all. So it was amazing. Thank you so much to everybody that kicked it for that. Don't expect that those long streams are going to happen very often. I am going to put together, as I mentioned last night, a fundraiser for a local charity here in the Phoenix area. So there may be a time where I put together, a really long kind of subathon fundraiser stream like that, but I'll have some guests popping in and out as well. So it would be a little bit different next time around. But I'm going to say what's up to everybody hanging out here in the chat. You guys are amazing for popping on in. We got Chester Franklin Jr. What's happening, Chester? So good to see ya. We got Ashton Luck in the house. Party people, how are you doing, Ashton? Jay Beach is kicking it with us as well. How are you doing, Jay? So great to see ya. Illuminated Pro says, back at it? Damn, you're hustling. Yeah, it's just been, 12 hours since I signed off. So I'm feeling pretty okay. Honestly, I didn't sleep very much. That's all. So tonight, after Late Night with the Davey, after we chat with Jonathan and I hang out with you guys a little bit, I'm going to curl up with a sandwich and a movie and just have some me time. It'll be very nice. And then I'll be back at it tomorrow on Flet's Movies and Pop Culture 13, watching Jaws. We're going to do a watch party over there. And then on Friday, as far as I know, I'm going to be over on Dark Room Reviews talking about top 10 horror films of the 2020s so far. What's happening, Gory Tiger? How you doing? So good to see ya. Who else do we have? Antonis Andriotis. What's happening, Antonis? We got Brad Underwood in the chat. How are you doing, Brad? So good to see ya. We've also got Dean Renner, one of our great channel members, and Death Squad. Well, he's not a Death... Dean, I should make you a Death Squad mod. Your channel... Dean is a channel member and a Patreon member. See, I'm just sort of on a little bit of a autopilot here. But I should make Dean a Death Squad mod, shouldn't I? Why the heck not? Jamie Hart, the original Death Squad mod right there, our mama mod who had to kick things into high gear yesterday. You know what? I'm gonna make Dean a Death Squad mod right now. How about it? Boom, there we go. There we go. Standard moderator. Boom, there it is. Dean, you're official now. There you go. Now I can say Death Squad mod, and it's not a mistake. It's the actual truth. Let's see here. Hope you're doing well, Jamie. Hope you're feeling better and everything after fighting that summer cold. Am I going to quote Quint tomorrow during the Jaws watch party? I'm sure I'll match up with all the quotes. Chester, thank you so much for reminding me. Yeah, guys, hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you're watching after the fact, drop on into the comments. Let us know your thoughts on the discussion here. And yeah, I do want to mention I've got the link for Jonathan's Instagram. It is pinned in the chat, and it's also in the description down below. So if you're not following him over there on Insta, he's got a great following over there, and you know, he's got his you know, shop and everything, his official website and everything hooked up through there as well. So but yeah, we'll show that off here in a minute and get him on in. Yeah, don't mess with Jamie, that's right. Chester wants a wrench. Everyone wants a wrench. There we go. Boom, there it is. You're official, Dean. Yes. And yeah, Dean's got a really cool channel called Enter the Cinevault. And hopefully Dean will be back at it after rearranging his studio and everything. Yes, Dean got the wrench. Yeah, guys, how's the week treating you so far? How is everyone doing? Did anyone that missed the stream last night jump in and check out any of it? I was actually surprised. I was like, oh, wow. This is what happens when you go for almost 11 hours is you get way more views than you usually get. So people are probably like, what kind of crazy person is this? And I jumped in to check that out. But what I'm going to do right now, guys, is I am going to bring up, let's see here, Jonathan's Instagram. There we go. There we are. And I'm going to do that. How about that? Okay, so I've showed this off to you guys before, right? You guys have seen this probably the last couple times I've streamed. I've brought this up. I don't know if I found this page through, it might have been through Foz Rotten, my guy Foz from Movie Punks, because he always shares the TV snack break stuff on his Instagram stories. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is right up my alley. You know, we've got Pleasant Dreams by the Ramones, but it's Scooby-Doo, A Night for a Fright. And it really, I love this kind of creativity, like the kind of, you know, doing like parody of, you know, mixing pop culture with punk rock, especially when you're a punk rock fan. I'm sure any of you guys that are in the chat, or even if you're just a fan of music that isn't really part of the mainstream, it's always cool to, you know, to see something out there where you're like, all right, I'm not the only one. There are some amazing people out here that enjoy the same kind of stuff. I think I showed this one off last time. This is Lagwagon's Duh record, but it's Garfield. So a whole bunch of stuff, you know, I would say, you know, especially if you're into punk rock, if you're just into people, you know, being creative with their art, and especially, man, this Mars Attacks, the Fugazi Mars Attacks, that might be one of my favorites, Jonathan. He's in the backstage right now. So, and then right here, I mean, After My Heart with Lifetime, Jersey's Best Dancers, one of my favorite records of all time. I actually sang a song from this record last night on the stream. Yeah, Lifetime's my favorite. So we got a little Sopranos, Jersey's Best Gangsters. Love that stuff. So yeah, guys, check out the TV Snack Break Instagram. He's got merch, all sorts of fun stuff. It looks like, you know, if you're in the Tennessee area, like Titty Bats says here, nice finally meeting you. So Jonathan works, you know, he goes out to some conventions and you know, shows with his gear. So, you know, if you're in that area, then you're going to want to pay him a visit. And even if not, you know, check out his website, pick up a shirt. I could scroll through this whole thing and just cherry pick all of the, oh my gosh, Big Cat songs about lasagna. Oh my God. And I would imagine somewhere down here, Jonathan, you probably have that, but the Big Black, guys, the record is called the band is called Big Black. The record is called Songs About Fucking. So if you're for any Big Black fans out there, Sid Dynamite, this is another, I love Kid Dynamite. This is great for any Toy Story fans out there. But yeah, I could seriously go through this entire page and pick these all out. Maybe this is the one. There we go. I think Big Black is that was Steve Albini's band from back in the day, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, real funny stuff, or fun stuff and funny stuff. We got Happy Sanjo in the chat. How you doing, Coy? Thank you so much for sharing that. And then even there is a what I'll do here before we bring Jonathan on to talk to him about his you know, his art and everything, is I'm going to just bring up his actual, let's see here. I'm going to just copy his full website so you guys can check out the shirts and everything. And I'm going to drop that in the chat as well. So here's the official website there, so you guys can check that out. I'm going to pin that one in the chat because the link to the Instagram is still in the description down below. So yeah, there you guys go. All right, so I'm going to bring us back on over here. There we are. And who else we got? We got Gavin. Mr. Mud Nelson is in the chat. How are you doing, Gav? Long time no see. Vanderhoff says, I hope you're feeling okay today, Davey. You can hear the voice is tired. Yeah, almost 11 hours, Dave. And yeah, you know, my voice is, it's been through it, but I feel good. I feel good. So, yeah, what's happening, Prince? So great to see you. Yeah, guys, we've been chatting here for about 12 minutes or so. So I figure, you know, why keep Jonathan waiting in the backstage any longer? Let's go ahead and get our guy going here. Guys, Jonathan from TV Snack Break. How you doing, Jonathan? Hey. How's the day finding you?
Man, I'm doing great, man. How's it going?
It's going well. I hopped on to just cover some news last night. Didn't anticipate going, you know, pretty much all night, but the people were there. The audience was there. They were fulfilling the super chat goals. So it was a wild night last night. But I'm super pumped to, you know, be hanging out with you. We've chatted a little bit here and there the last, I don't know, maybe it's been over the last month or two. But sure. I've been following your Instagram profile for a while, you know, sharing your stuff on, you know, some of my stories whenever I see something where I'm like, oh my God, that really speaks to me. And I'm curious to know, I mean, I would imagine, you know, your journey as an artist probably began some time ago. So, you know, what got you into, is parody art something that you've always sort of done, or when you were younger, like what kind of got you into art to begin with? And then what led you to this path of, you know, I'm gonna mix like pop culture, you know, with these parody like punk rock covers, like or album covers. So what kind of led you there from where you began?
So, first of all, thanks for having me on. I like talking. So
of course,
I'll start talking. So I guess essentially it was like, I've always just really liked bad jokes. And when it comes to bad jokes that are so niche that only like maybe 5 people get out of a room of 100, I know those 5 people are going to instantly be my best friends. So it's a good way of weeding out weirdos. But essentially, like, I've always, I mean, when it comes to parody art, there's nothing else other than Weird Al Yankovic, right? Like,
yeah,
like and anyone that does parodies that's not him is the Weird Al of this. Oh, he's the Weird Al of heavy metal, or he's the Weird Al of this. Like, he's just kind of like, you know, the godfather of it, you know, at least as far as popularity goes. Because there was tons of parody albums like in the 50s and 60s of popular songs, but the guy that was like, you know, I'm in that age range when Weird Al was like the coolest thing in the world when you're a kid.
Oh yeah.
And aside from that, it's like I have always been really into like mashup art, and like when it comes to like cutting and pasting and zines, and when you see old flyers for punk shows, it's always been like, you know, the old 80s flyers, there would be some Pettibone art with Reagan on the side, or, you know, there'd always be like a lot of cut and paste stuff put together, and it was all mashups. It was all like stuff that you never, you know, would think of. People would cut out pictures of like, you know, Bill Cosby and then put them next to this over here and cut it up and put it on a copy machine and write a band name on it and then put it out on a board. And I always thought that was insanely creative. I always thought that was just so cool. I always wanted to do stuff like that. I never really could draw growing up. Like, I always wanted to draw. I always wanted to learn how to do some sort of art, you know. I was just never great at it. And even I have to give shout outs to people who pay their dues for one with just like making an insane amount of art, right? Like there's
Mm-hmm.
making a lot, not just art, but making really good jokes and visual art. Um, and I have to say, if there's one thing that sticks in my mind is like that sticks out to me is like this is what made me want to actually start doing something was one record that my buddy got me some years ago, and it's actually hanging on my wall. I'm a big I don't want to say I'm a big gamer. I am not a gamer, okay? But I do like certain video games that I played a lot as a teenager or anything that's a throwback to nostalgic for me. I really love certain video games and I could play games like that all day. But
Mm-hmm.
this one record, I got a Metal Gear Solid soundtrack, but it is the Black Sabbath 4 album cover.
Oh,
And,
beautiful.
and you got Mantis here in the center where Ozzy is at, Metal Gear Solid, and I got this, and I was like, this is my favorite album of all time. Like, I was like, this is like the coolest thing. So
Yeah.
around my good friend Chad got me that some years ago because it's like a bootleg, like run off of a soundtrack that someone made, and I was like, oh man, if I could just have something tangible in my
Mm-hmm.
hand that is this dorky. And so I just started making really dorky stuff that is like like five people would get that's Psycho Mantis from Metal Gear Solid, and then would equally know what the Black Sabbath Volume 4 album is. That's
Yeah.
the type of stuff that I was like, this is like the best thing I've ever seen. So
And how timely is that with with Ozzy's passing yesterday and
I
everything
know,
that we're
right?
we just happen to have you on here to share that. But when did you get that record? How long have you had
Uh,
that?
Probably about 4 years now. I think so. I think I've had it for about 4 years now, and uh,
So is what's kicked this off for you?
mentally, yes, was that. And I was like, man, whoever did this is amazing. I still don't know who did that. But because it's like one of those things where, uh, there's like a cult underground of video game soundtracks with parody album covers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which just sounds silly, but there's like the soundtrack to Sonic, but it's like the Michael Jackson Thriller where Sonic's like all posed like this. Like there's like some really good
Yeah.
album covers like that I think are that you can actually have something tangible, have a record in your hand, and it looks goofy like that.
You,
Um,
you know what's funny is I wish I had it with me right now because all my records are just out in the living room. But I've
yeah,
got something years when I was living in Portland years ago. I was at I think it was Jackpot Records on Hawthorne, and I'm just sifting through all the new stuff, and I find this Castlevania vinyl soundtrack, and it's the London Calling from the Clash. But it says Castlevania, and it's instead of breaking the guitar or whatever, it's Simon like whipping, and it's got. I think it
that's
has like the
great.
first. Yeah, it has the first 3 games are on the record, and it was limited to like 666 copies. So it was one of those things where I was like, "Oh my god, I have to have this." So that's so funny that we
Absolutely.
have a little bit of that overlap there with
Yeah.
and then here we are years later talking about these album covers, and then you've been doing this art for how long now with TV Snack Break?
A little over 2 years. Not insanely long, but I've had the ideas for a few years, and I didn't actually do anything with it because it was just like, oh, this would be funny, and I would just write something down, and then
Yeah.
I know like a year would go by, and before I knew it, like I haven't done anything with anything. But it was just something like the first thing I ever did was a Descendants Don Knotts thing, and,
Mm-hmm.
and the truth is I'm a hardcore Don Knotts fan. Okay, so
I don't think
as you
I've
can see,
ever heard anyone say that before. That's
you
the
actually
first
can
time I've
see
ever heard
him
that
hanging out.
sentence said.
He's actually right over my shoulder. If you look right here and up here, he's now
Nice.
that I'm looking. But yeah, I'm a
Is that
hardcore
a
Don Knotts
Pee Wee
fan.
Herman? Is that a Pee Wee Herman ventriloquial figure?
It's a pull string.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
Um,
I had something similar to that when I was a little kid, but it's long lost. So
sure.
anyway, so yes, so Don Knotts, you're a hardcore Don Knotts
Yeah.
fan.
Yeah, which is really lame. But at the same time, if you meet anybody and they're usually over the age of 60, that are really want to engage with you about the topic, it's kind of fulfilling. But nonetheless,
Yeah.
that was like my first thing that I started to draw was Don Knotts and the caricature. He was on Scooby Doo and the new Scooby Doo movies, and I kind of
Hmm.
drew it based around the way he looked in Scooby Doo. And I was like, man, this is, if anyone in the whole world would want this, they would instantly, like, they could have a permanent place to sleep at my house or whatever. Like, I knew we would be friends. Um,
Yeah.
and so essentially, I just started making, you know, it just kept going. I was like, I wonder if I could do this. I wonder if I could do this. And it wasn't like I got any great response from anything. It was just like a mentality of like, hey, I can do this. So I'm just going to keep doing it.
Hell
And
yeah. And
eventually people started listening.
that's the Barney goes to Mayberry picture you're talking
Yeah.
about, right? The drawing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny because yeah, I feel the same way. Like when you're into punk rock, you're like, oh, it's just I grew up in a tiny town. We talked about this and everything through our DMs and everything. But growing up where I did in Juneau, Alaska, it was like me and my 5 friends that listened to punk rock and ordered stuff from Fat Wreck, and we were like the only ones that knew about it, But you've got a great following here on Instagram, so it's like I guess there are more of us out there than
Yeah.
maybe we both thought, people that it just really resonates with them. And I love having this stuff cross my feed because you get enough of like, kind of real life stuff or, drama or whatever on social media. So it's such a nice like breath of fresh air just to see some content that's like, gives me a chuckle and then makes me think like, damn, that's a really creative one. Costanza Kruger Day Rising. That's one that like really got me. And then of course, I mean, the 5 Iron Frenzy stuff, the like with Teen Wolf and everything. And of course, Lifetime. I mean, you got me with Lifetime. So, what got you into, have you been, always been a punk rock fan since you were, what was the band that got you into it? Was it, for me, I remember like Green Day breaking in like 94. I was in like 7th grade or something. And that was kind of like, it opened my eyes to like, oh, there's this kind of music out there. And then the Skater Kids showed me like Face to Face and Pennywise and all that stuff. What was that journey like for you, falling in love with punk rock?
Yeah, absolutely. So 1994 is the year that punk broke. I mean, that's like,
Yeah.
So at the time, I was probably 8 or 9 years old. And of course, to give you a little bit of a like my upbringing, I mean, MTV Band in the House, church on
Mm-hmm.
Sundays, church on Wednesdays. Uh, if you cannot listen to popular music, I was only allowed to listen to Christian music. I could only watch Christian TV shows, only allowed to watch cartoons. I had a very strict upbringing, and everything was just like, and here's the thing, like most people that you talk to that are into punk rock, like when they have a strict upbringing, they're like, I'm going to rebel. But
Mm-hmm.
with me, it was like I saw it and I was scared to death of it. Like I was like, oh man, because there was this kid down the street from me, and his name was Robbie. But keep in mind, I still am friends with this guy from the time I was 8 years old. This kid lived down
That's
the street from
amazing.
me. Robbie, green hair, baggy pants, Green Day shirt, and I was like, and he's a few years older than me. I was like, that kid on the block is scary as hell. I do not want to grow up to be like him. And then I became friends with him, and I was like, okay, my mind is blown. Like everything, this is cool. I want to start skateboarding. And I was like 13, like, Mom, I'm going to dye my hair green. And they were like freaking out. But nonetheless, it was like, I still was really in a more than your average conservative household as far as like what I was and wasn't allowed to do or listen to or enjoy. But the most rebelling I ever did was like if I went to go stay at my grandparents' house, I would have like a cassette deck and I would listen to whatever punk music I can get my hands on. And I didn't know if it was good or bad. It was just like, I was like, oh, okay, this band listens to this band, this band listens to this band. You know, it's like, I'm going to listen to it. So by the time I was like 13, I'd gotten like Operation Ivy on cassette, and I was like, okay, this is like, like in my mind, of course, like I was like, this sounds terrible. Like it doesn't sound like it should be on the radio, like because the quality wasn't what you know.
Sure.
But I fell in love with like the idea of like, well, these people seem to be accepting if you're different, so maybe they'll be accepting of me because I'm come from this household and come from this weird strict upbringing. Maybe they'll be okay with me. And there were some like all ages clubs and stuff that I didn't really go to too many of them because I didn't really have a lot of friends that was interested in the same stuff I was. And then I got homeschooled, and so then I was like really siloed and didn't really have a lot of influence, positive or negative influence. It was just like, you know, I'm going to keep finding stuff I like. But keep in mind, around this time, the internet was around. And I was like 15, 16, and like really like, you know, there was like the loserkids.com, and then there was interpunk.com, and then there was all this other stuff that was just like, I could just click on my gateway computer mouse, my e-machines computer, and like, and order something. And so I literally just kind of like started ordering stuff to the house from all these independent sites. And I blindly, it was like, well, the Get Up Kids are probably cool. They have a cool band name, you know, and just stuff like that. I'd like, oh, the Descendants, you know, my friend Robbie told me about the Descendants. I should listen to it. I should probably buy this CD because it's used for $4 on eBay. And like, and so I just buy stuff because I just, like, this seems like the thing to do. And that's just kind of like, I kind of trained myself on it, if you will.
Yeah. No, I mean, so you kind of have to do that with something like punk rock, right? There's not really, you know, every now and then you might have somebody that kind of takes you under their wing on it. I mean, I remember, with Green Day breaking, of course, the Skater Kids showed me, you know, some of the other skate punk and everything at the time. But I remember reading, like, Green Day was in Hit Parader, like every issue they were getting covered in, you know, Hit Parader magazine. And I remember reading their interviews, and they would talk about Fugazi, Screeching Weasel, and Operation Ivy. And so I was like, well, I gotta check those bands out. And I don't know how this happened, but there was an Operation Ivy cassette at our little independent record store up in Juneau. And I saw that and was like, oh my God, 27 songs, you know, Energy on cassette. Picked that up in 94. And I remember thinking that 1989 at that point seemed like so long ago to me, because I was like, whoa, these guys like broke up when I was in like second grade. Like, that's so long ago. And then I didn't even know what to call. I had no idea what ska was. So I was like, this is like punk rock, but he's like rapping kind of. I just never heard anything like it. It totally opened, you know, the doors of perception for me of like what music could be. But that's just kind of how it is. Like, I had the same experience with Descendants as well. Like, I'd heard about them. I saw their Somery was in the used section of the record store, and I was like, all right, I'll give this a shot. There's like 30 songs on this friggin' thing. And now here I am. And I'm like, now Descendants are, you know, one of my favorite bands. And it is kind of wild. There's like no real roadmap. Now, you know, I grew up in a, you know, relatively conservative household, but I was the fifth of 5 kids. So my parents I had a little more leeway. Like, my mom didn't want me watching MTV, but I would still sneak around and watch it when I was younger. But of course, like, you know, as far as like there are some really, I don't know, for folks that are in the chat, if you've never heard, you know, some of the like Christian punk or ska, or I don't know, some of it's even kind of secular, even though it's almost like it was just sanitized or whatever. What are some of I mean, obviously MXPX, Five Iron Frenzy. Are you a Slick Shoes kind of guy as well?
Am I ever? You can't see, but there's a Slick Shoes skate deck on the wall right there.
Oh, hell yeah.
So I remember being 16. I saw Slick Shoes Good Charlotte MXPX play a club here, and it was like being like a 16-year-old kid. I was like, this is the coolest thing in my whole life. And I was
Yeah.
into slick shoes before then, but anything that falls into the tooth and nail BEC recordings, solid state stuff, all that stuff was like everything to me as a teenager. Like it was
Yeah.
like everything, like all those bands. I just don't know if I like. And what's funny is I have talked to some of those bands later on in life, because a lot of those people end up just moving to Nashville or in Franklin, which is just south of here. I mean, Nashville
Hmm.
has like such a community of Christian music, anyways, that it's like a lot of those bands stay. A lot of pop punk bands live here. You know, like there's like Newfound Glory, Bayside. All these guys live like half hour down the
Oh,
road from here.
wild. Yeah, and
Yeah,
I guess it's kind of a centralized sort of spot too. It's not exactly in the middle of the country, but like close enough, and a really awesome music town.
yeah, absolutely. There's like tons of that stuff here, and I mean, it's always like I went like you would go to like a venue here and be like, oh, there's Haley Williams getting up on stage again. I mean, it's just like
That's wild.
there's a lot of that here, and I was so ignorant to it growing up. But it's really cool to like kind of revel in now. And
Hmm.
as what we were talking about though with the tooth and nail thing, I've talked to some of those people, and a lot of them, a lot of those bands, some were Christian, some were not, but nonetheless, like all their messages were still kind of the same, of just like, let's just be happy that we're together and enjoy the moment and not care
Yeah.
or judge people, and I that's still a good punk ethos to go by, I could go on a tangent about it, but I'll try to save that. But
No, no.
nonetheless,
Yeah, go for it, man. Yeah, because I think I'm right there with you. Like there are some of those bands that like, some of the people when I was in my 20s and 30s and getting to know new people, because I was playing in punk rock bands, pop punk bands, and running a venue out of my basement when I was living in Portland at one of the houses I lived in. And as you're meeting people and you're showing them some of this stuff, that's like not everyone got into that. Like, I guess I'll call it quote unquote Christian music, because it's not like they're singing about it. It's not very few, like the Supertones are like worship heavy, but most of these bands, it's like it's just kind of like regular music that they're not swearing, and maybe every now and then they mention something that's like a religious kind of tinge to it. But I even felt like bands like, especially Slick Shoes, had some songs that were like anti-establishment, kind of like calling out the government sort of songs, and just like when I played some of those tracks for my my friends who didn't grow up like in that religious kind of atmosphere, they were like, whoa, like these bands actually have like legit good punk rock songs. And I'm like, yeah, it's not all totally cheesy. Even something crazy like 90 Pound Wuss is like one of the toughest bands I've ever heard. Right. And they're just they're wild, So it is pretty interesting. And Five Iron Frenzy's still my favorite third wave ska band. I don't think I'll ever get over how good that group is. But tangent away, man. Tangent away.
No, absolutely. Like I like I will talk to people that, so like Josh from Dogwood, like I can actually have a conversation with that guy now and send stuff back and forth in the mail. And I'm like, dude, this Dogwood was like my band. Like I listen to this stuff all the time. And it's just like casually talking to the dude now. And there's like little things like that, like where I've talked to a couple of members from Five Iron, and and really I try to get, like, if I have a chance. I don't know if you ever remember the band Blenderhead, but I actually met the singer actually a day or so ago. I was doing a pop-up show at the Punk Rock Flea Market and talked to him for a bit. And it's so funny to talk to people about it, because they are well aware of the stigma that came with them and still hangs with them for being called a Christian punk band or a Christian ska band or whatever. They're so aware of it and in tune with it. But it's just kind of funny to think like, you know, to this day that people can still see that and kind of raise an eyebrow to it, and be like,
Yeah.
be like, that's not for me. And I'm like, dude, come on, man. What are you gonna like? It's so silly because honestly, the Christian music industry in general, that's where I can get on a tangent, is weird because it's like, uh, when you think about Christian music in like 1995 and listen to what those songs were, not just punk music, not just metal music, but like Christian popular radio,
Hmm.
their songs were Jesus, 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 Jesus. Like they had songs about, overcoming tragedy, doing this, feeling lost, different things. And
Hmm.
then eventually, you know, interesting points of view on life. At some point, like 99, 2000, everything was praise and worship. Everything was, I am not worthy, like over and over and over
Hmm.
again. And it's just like, it just got to what sells. And, it
Yeah.
just happens with every industry, I think, at some point. Is like, well, and it's like, let's make another Harry Potter series. It's just like that mentality of like, let's just keep, hey, this works. Let's just do it again.
Yeah, and it becomes, I think, especially with that industry specifically, there's like a certain level of like elitism, and it's like you realize that, oh shit, this kind of elitism sort of pops up in almost every group. There's this like, well, is that band Christian enough kind of feel, and then I'm sure you've watched that amazingly epic 5 Iron Frenzy documentary that came out about 15 years ago. Have you seen that?
Yes, I do remember
And
that.
it
It's been a
was
long
it
time
was
since I've watched it, but yeah.
the one thing that stuck out to me was like, oh my gosh, they were like they were trying to get accepted in the punk world and get accepted in the Christian world, and both sides didn't really want to accept them because of the half of their songs that didn't fit that group. So
Yeah.
they would want to be at punk shows, and punk bands would be like, well, some of your songs are like about Jesus, and then the Christian people would be like, well, how come all of your songs aren't about Jesus? Like, why are you writing these silly
Yeah.
songs? Because that's one of my favorite things about 5 Iron, is I think they really earned the more like spiritual side of their catalog, because they still
Mhm.
have very silly songs. I mean, like, Where is
Yeah.
Micah and Superpowers and all, like, there's all sorts of
Yeah.
silly stuff. Blue Comb 78, all, it's,
Mhm.
I would, it's bizarre because, yeah, there is that little bit of like, well, it's like Michael Jackson's Bad video. Like, are you bad enough?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and
Who's bad?
exactly. And so it's one of those, it is kind of a funny thing, just for those bands, like, trying to find that acceptance. Funny story about Dogwood. My high school band actually opened up for those guys. They came up to Juneau and played our auditorium. And when I was like
Wow.
15 or 16, and then they crashed at my buddy's house, and like the promoter totally screwed them. So I'm sure if you brought it up to the guy, he'd be
Yeah.
like, "Oh God, that time we went to Juneau." We had
Yeah.
no idea that what the promoter was doing. We were just kids, and we weren't involved with setting up the show.
Mm.
But yeah, we kicked it after. Those guys were super cool. Slick Shoes and 5 Iron Frenzy actually came and played my hometown. They did 2 nights in a row. One of my
Awesome.
buddies like organized that. So, getting to kick it with those guys, especially the crew from 5 Iron, they were really, really nice people. So, yeah, nothing but love for, that kind of era and time in like the Christian pop punk and ska scene. Some really good shit.
Oh,
I don't know.
oh, absolutely agree. It still is amazing. Um, I had so much, I had so much fun, and I learned a lot, like listening to those records. And I, you know, I still to this day don't think that there was ever a time that I was ever like quote unquote embarrassed about it.
Yeah.
And back to that topic that you just mentioned, the two punk for Christians, two Christians for punks. I mean, that whole
Yeah.
mentality, that has literally been the mold I've been in my entire life. And the thing is that, dude, I love stuff that Jesus would hate. I can't help it. Like, there's like, I love I mean, I know you're super into horror movies. I'm really into horror movies, like the 80s schlock goop.
Oh yeah.
Whatever you can throw at me, I'm super into it because it looks bad. The effects are terrible. The acting is terrible. Love it to death. Like, uh, I could I could go on forever. I have a massive VHS collection of horror videotapes. I'm a big fan of it, and at the same time, I could never like bring that up to my mom or dad. Be like, hey, you know, I'm just in here watching street trash. You know, like that doesn't
Eh,
happen. And at the same time, like I think about me, I don't drink, I don't do drugs, I don't smoke pot, I haven't ever like I just it's not my thing, right?
mhm.
But I will always be singled out if I'm hanging around those people. It's like, oh, it's because you were raised in the church, right? Like there's always gonna happen. It's always gonna happen. So it's one of those things that's always been sticking with me. And one thing that I really resonated with was, because of this topic that I, trailed off with you with, the album Social Distortion, Somewhere Between Heaven and Hell.
Mhm.
That record is one of my favorite records. Uh, but I will say this. There was an interview with Mike Ness about the title of that record, and he was like, "Yeah, I grew up Christian, but I was too Christian to hang out with the punks, and I was too punk to go to
Mhm.
church." And I was like, "Dude, like I truly relate to this guy
Yeah.
right here." So that's like, and I was like, "Man, I love that statement." So the whole "somewhere between heaven and hell" came from that statement of like, he if he dies, he doesn't know where he's going to go.
Mhm.
And I just was like, man, I am not alone in that internal fight, and not it's not really an internal fight because I'm always comfortable with myself, but no one
Yeah.
else is comfortable with me. So it was always like one of those weird things.
Yeah, I think that sometimes it's like there is that unknown. You know, we all have like kind of the fear of the unknown. It sort of goes all in all directions, you know, no matter what you grew up in, the other is always going to be, you're always going to look at it a little bit differently. I mean, you know, I
Right.
grew up yeah, I was raised Catholic, but I really liked going to, a lot of my friends were non-denominational Protestant, and they had a really awesome, like when we were in high school, a really awesome youth group. Like they had, you know, two guitars and they were singing like three-part harmonies when they did like the worship section of their youth group, and the youth group leader was like really young and very relatable, and there were a bunch of pretty girls there. So it was always fun checking that out, and you know, going to youth group with them. I would go to their youth group and then I would still go to my, you know, my Catholic one as well. But man, I gotta tell you, there were a lot of times when people were like, so what's your deal? Like, Catholics aren't Christians, or you were baptized when you were a baby, so it doesn't count. And just, you know, you just hear
Yeah.
things that are like you guys worship Mary, and I'm like, oh man, there's like all these like misconceptions about just another sect of you know, of Christianity. And it was like even in that group there was, I was the other. So
Yeah.
most of the people were great and I got along with most everyone, and I was always willing to engage in conversation and, you know, set people straight, but in the, you know, in a gentle way and all that. But it is interesting that there is kind of, no matter where you go, there is a little bit of that that kind of stigma that just sort of follows you. Now,
Right.
have you ever played music? Are you in a band? Have you ever done anything like that?
I can say this: I have played music, but I still I mean, I still have guitars and a bass and stuff like that. And I've recorded demos and stuff here and there on Logic and just like make music to make music.
Hmm.
But I have like never successfully been in a band. I've recorded music with friends. I've, it's been like, hey, I record this track. Do you want to write some words over this? You
Oh,
know,
nice.
there's just been some like, you know, here and there collaboration on some stuff just
Yeah.
for fun. And uh, I mean, there used to, like 15 years ago, group of my friends would drum, bass, guitar, just sit around and just make music till like 2 o'clock in the morning, just playing guitar and ad libbing, jamming as it were, and just goofing off. But I guess I never really put that much effort or took it too seriously because one of the things with me is like I have severe imposter syndrome, and one of the things is that when I hear bands that I love and I start writing music and I'm like, God, this is a jawbreaker song. I got to stop. This is just another riff
Oh,
song.
no, that's what it's all about, right?
And so yeah, so but one of the things that that's one of the things. So, but nonetheless, like I find myself wanting to write music more and more sometimes. Uh, but at the same time, I'm like, man, I'm going to leave that up to the professionals. I'm just going to enjoy listening to it. And I will, if there's ever a time where someone calls me on stage and says, play this guitar, I will do it. But it's just not something I do as much anymore. Like it used to be a
Yeah.
huge part of my life when in my 20s, where I just always wanted to play music, always wanted to record music, always wanted to demo something and give it to somebody. And, I'm just like, you know what, man, I will play guitar in my house. I will goof off with some friends once in a while. But right now I'm just like, you know what, I'm fine. I have a lot going on. I think I'm just going
Yeah.
to, do what I'm doing.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. And what's really cool about the, because being in an active band, it's so time consuming. It's so much work. It's, difficult to schedule the older you get, and then, as people's lives fill up and everything. But, with the day and age that we live in, what's really cool is you could have like a recording project that's like a band where all you do is just record tracks and release tracks. I mean, you don't even have to worry about playing shows or scheduling practices or anything like that. That's kind of like an interesting thing that we didn't have when we grew up, that now you could have a band that's basically a bunch of dudes remotely writing music together, which is pretty amazing for sure.
Absolutely.
Now, go ahead.
No.
I was just curious to know, with what you have going with TV Snack Break, and you said you do the pop-ups and everything. It looks like you do some shows or conventions and stuff like that. Do you create art for a living? Is this your bread and butter here?
My God, I wish that was true.
Don't we all, right?
Yeah. No, so I do have a 9 to 5 Monday through Friday desk job. Everything that I do as far as TV Snack Break or going to, whatever I can do to be out in public and sell stuff, that is literally nights and weekends. And it is whenever I can get in to fit in, and I honestly try not to take the TV Snack Break stuff so seriously to where I have to promote it and I have to be a business with it. Because if I did, I would just go nuts. But at the same time, it's super fun to do. It's just one of those things where if I could do it, as a main gig, I think I would probably run out of ideas in a week and just be like, okay, well, I guess I'll just do Garfield again. It's just it's
sure, yeah.
It's one of those things where it could be a death knell if I do spend so much time on it.
You'll get the imposter syndrome about that if it became your main thing, right? Then you'd be like, oh
exactly.
no, now I'm a fraud because I have to do it.
Absolutely, yeah, that's what. Yeah, exactly. So I do have a lot of fun just doodling and drawing stuff that has nothing to do with TV Snack Break, but it's just just something to do on the side just because I just enjoy drawing stuff. One thing that I really enjoy about it is there is some hiccups to it that there's stuff I really enjoy. So I'm a huge TV nerd, and that's kind of what I have been known for ever since I was a teenager, is that I could be that's Barney Miller episode 3 season 4, and just that type of mentality. Richie is about 10 years old. This has got to be season 3 of the Dick Van Dyke Show. So it's kind of how I've always kind of been. So one thing that I enjoy most about what I'm doing is actually the TV side of it too, where I'm just like, you know, I really love Peanuts. I really love the Mary Tyler Moore Show. I really love, you know, these dumb TV shows. Psych is one of my favorite TV shows. Monk's one of my
Mm,
favorite TV shows. All these like shows that like I know TV shows like I would know all the chords to Green Day's Dookie front and back. Like it's just kind of
yeah.
weird. And so when I get to like, it's really cool to be able to talk to people about punk music all the time. And I love it because
Hmm.
I didn't have that as a teenager. I didn't have, like, when I was getting into it, I didn't really have that. So it's super cool that I can do that now when I'm like 40 years old.
Hmm.
But at the same time, I really enjoy getting to like work in, you know, Bob's Burgers or all the Ernest movies and all that stuff. I really
Yeah.
enjoy that because it's a part of like, it's a major part of myself. Like, it's just like whatever dork stuff I can get.
I think that's what, like, you know, what really resonates with me with your work. You know, it's the mixture of, because I'm a big, you know, TV, like I can tell like probably the first like 5 or 6 seasons of The Simpsons, like I could tell just by the way the animation looks, like which season it is. I
Yeah.
mean, season one's obvious, but like even with the other ones, I'm like, oh, I know that that's season two because they're still a little like they're a little like more squished down. They're not as like a long like
Yeah.
they're still working into the final versions of these characters. So super
Right.
nerdy about that kind of stuff too. And then yeah, I mean like you know you've got the Mystery Science Theater 3000 Get Up Kids, the something to
Yeah.
complain about. That's just I mean that's one of those things where I'm like, oh my god, like I feel seen because Mystery Science Theater 3000 is like my favorite show of all time. It's like the most meaningful television show to me for I don't know what it is. I have this weird thing where I think it's like I realize that Mystery Science Theater is like my philosophy on life. Like our lives are the bad movies that we're forced to watch. And what Mystery Science Theater taught me is that you surround yourself with friends, you make fun of it, you make fun of yourself, you don't take yourself too seriously, and that's how you keep from going crazy. That's you know, and it's one of those weird things where I was like, wow, Mystery Science Theater is my philosophy on life. What a nerd.
No,
so
I absolutely get it. Absolutely get it.
so you know, for anyone that's watching, if you guys are watching live right now or if you're watching after the fact, you got to check out the TV Snack Break Instagram page. Give him a follow because if you grew up in the 80s or the 90s and you like TV and you like, you know, punk rock or emo or indie, you're going to see all that stuff represented. It's a really beautiful intersection of all things nerdy that it's weird when I see this stuff, Jonathan. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like this. It's almost like I'm like, this guy's my best friend now. I'm like, I could see I could see myself in another universe wanting to do something like this because it is just so so creative and so relatable, you know, with my own life experience as well. Now you mentioned horror there, and I you know the folks here on the Davey Death Ray channel, our Death Squad as we call them, we're a big horror group over here. So I'm curious to kind of, you know, I'm not going to take up your whole night here, but I
Sure.
figured we could talk about horror a little bit. You had mentioned Street Trash and loving all that, you know, kind of cheesy or over the top 80s stuff. But what are some like franchises or some horror films that really like have stuck with you through the years or that you go back to? Do you have like horror movies that you revisit during certain times of year, like in the summer or for spooky season? Like give us a little bit of the TV Snack Break horror rundown here.
Honestly, I would have to say my first early memory of seeing any horror shows or any horror movies, um, it was actually Halloween 4, I believe it was.
Nice.
The Danielle Harris one. Like
Yeah.
that's like the first thing I remember seeing, and I was probably like 10 years old or 11,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I was like I saw myself in the character of this little girl, and I was like scared
Yes.
shitless. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
my God, this is terrifying. and that was the first one I saw, and I remember just like after it was over, I was like that I had never been so scared watching something in my life, and then I'm going to probably watch the rest of these Halloween movies.
Yeah.
So I enjoy. I would say that's probably the series that I enjoy the most watching. Uh, like I like when there's like winks at the camera type of movies. Like I think it's Freddy's final. Was it New Nightmare? Like when there's just like a whole
Yeah.
movie about making a Freddy movie. Like that stuff
Yeah.
is really cool to me.
So you're a Scream, you like Scream then, I would imagine. You like that kind of meta
Yeah, yeah,
approach?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoy like the first Scream movie. I mean Matthew
Yeah.
Lillard, holy crap, like just like fantastic movie.
Mm.
Um, that there's and when it comes to like you know franchises, I would have to say it's pretty hard to top Leprechaun though. I personally think that it is everything that I could ever want in a horror movie. That it literally just because it is like the worst movie with a pretty decent budget, and
Yeah,
there's bad movies that are like Troll 2 or whatever that have no
sure.
budget, and but when you have at least a decent budget and it's like Troll and or not Troll, but when it's like Leprechaun in space and stuff like that, I'm like, okay, sign me up. Like I'm all in for that. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah,
those I legitimately I think I really like the first movie quite a bit. I think that one's pretty solid. I really love the third one. The one in Vegas is so much
yeah,
fun. Like I've watched all the original Warwick Davis movie. I haven't seen like the remake or the like requel or whatever.
hmm
The remake or the requel. But I watched all like the original run. And yeah, that the first one and the third one, they really stand out to me as like I legitimately enjoy them. And then the others are like so bad they're just really entertaining.
oh yeah,
You know.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that's just and the Critters. I mean, I love all the Critters movies. Like anything that has to do with like any sort of creature, like I'm like, okay, I'm in.
There
I
you
like
go.
creature features. I mean, that's
Yeah.
if I was to
Tremors.
pick any, oh yeah, all day long.
Yeah.
And of course, I was like, what's the dad from Family Ties doing in a horror movie? Like I was just like, like, uh, so it was one of those things where like, if I was to pick like any sort of genre, like slasher serial killer movies, cool. Everything
Mhm.
else like is I really like spooky ghost movies a whole lot. But if you give me like some really weird freaking creature monster like Jeepers Creepers, holy crap! That first Jeepers Creepers movie, I was like, okay,
Yeah.
this is exactly what I wanted right now. Was like why can't you just give me a new monster? And they did. Uh, but that stuff is really cool to me.
So
But
you're like a big if it's Charles Band, if it's Vidmark Entertainment, that's what
yes,
I'm kind of picking up from you, Jonathan. Is sort of like
absolutely,
if they showed it at 3 a.m. on the USA Network
absolutely.
in the 90s, then that's your kind of jam right there.
Oh yeah, yeah, and uh, it's one of those things where if it's like something that was like going back and watching it as an adult, you're like, this is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. But when I look back at like when I was a kid watching this stuff, I was like, oh man, this is like the most. It was just so scary to me as a kid. Like it was just so
Mhm.
terrifying. Um,
Yeah, I stayed away from Leprechaun as a kid because I was like, this looks scary. And like, little did I know. I mean, I didn't watch those. I think the very first time I saw the first Leprechaun movie was maybe just like 10 years ago. And I was like, oh my God,
yeah,
that was like such a blast and not really scary at all, but very entertaining. And I was like, Jennifer Aniston, like you can tell she's going to become a star because she just
yeah,
has something in that movie. She's so adorable, but puts in a great performance in the midst of like this
right.
absurd notion of the leprechaun. And I think my favorite scene in that movie is where they're throwing the shoes and he's like collecting them, trying to polish the
Oh,
shoes. That cracks me
oh,
up, dude.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, there's so many like uh, when it comes to horror films, like I've always gravitated towards creature features or like I love the Universal monsters. So like when I was a kid, if I was
Oh
going to watch
yeah.
a horror movie, my that was like the closest thing to scary movies I could watch was like that I was
Mhm.
allowed to watch was like Vincent Price movies or stuff like that. So I was so into like Vincent Price and anything with Peter Lorre in it and Boris
Yeah.
Karloff and all those people that I was like, this is just like everything to me. Like I thought that stuff was so cool, and that was like the introduction to like scary stuff.
Hmm.
Um, and I didn't really think of those as a kid. I didn't really think of those as horror movies. I just kind of thought like, oh, it's like science fiction or play they're make
Yeah.
believe. Like, and it wasn't until like Halloween 4 that I was like, oh, this is a horror movie. Like I was like, this is something else.
Yeah, I had a similar experience with Halloween. I think I saw Halloween 2 first, was on USA Network when I was like 8 years old. And they played
Yeah.
Halloween 2 and then they played Halloween 1 after. For some reason, they did like reverse order. And then maybe it was
Yep.
like, it might have been that year or the next year when I saw Halloween 4 on TV. And I got to meet Danielle Harris just a couple weeks ago. And it was really cool getting to tell her just like kind of same thing as you, where it's like I related with that character so much because I was about the same age when I saw
Yeah.
it, and just thanked her for everything she gave us. She's a killer performer in those two movies, even though I don't love Halloween 5 as much as 4. She's great in both of those, and really good in Rob
Absolutely.
Zombie's Halloween movies too, which
Oh yeah.
I have mixed feelings on those, but I really love what she brings to the table. Do you have anything that's like, do you have like, every spooky season? I know probably a lot of people that hang out here on the channel, and I know that I have these movies where it's like, all right, September and October, I know I have to fit in this handful of movies. Like, do you have that staple for spooky season where you're like, every year I gotta fit these in?
There's a couple. Honestly, you would think there'd be more, but there's a few that I like. One, hands down, every Halloween, Ernest Scared Stupid. No way around it. It's always going to be that movie.
Love it.
And the first Poltergeist movie is one I always watch around Halloween.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorites as far as like, it's a spooky ghost story. I love spooky ghost stories. And
it's really impressive. I love the effects there too.
oh yeah, absolutely. And there was just so many like really cool scenes in it, and so many like the acting, Craig T. Nelson. And of course, I watched that like later on, right? And I watched Poltergeist after I'd seen like Coach and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Like,
I loved Coach as a kid. Coach is great.
And I was like, hey, it's Coach. Coach is in this movie. It's going to be good. Like, so that's kind of like how that is. But yeah, definitely Ernest Scared Stupid. Definitely Poltergeist. And I usually, God, what's another one I usually watch? So this is one that I actually do enjoy watching around Halloween. It's actually a Christmas movie, which is Silent Night, Deadly Night, which I really love that. I kind of hold Christmas, like I have my Christmas movies, which is obviously Ernest Saves Christmas. But
that movie's so good.
Yeah.
That's underrated. That's a way underrated Christmas movie. Even for people that maybe never hopped on the Ernest train, I do think you gotta give that one a watch. It is a very heartwarming, beautiful Christmas movie.
Absolutely. And it is probably my favorite of the Ernest series stuff. But I usually around Halloween will watch like Silent Night, Deadly Night or something like that. Then I'm like, well, I want to just get, because this is really a horror movie. I'm going to watch it here in Halloween time. But I would love all that kind of stuff though. Like when it comes to, I mean, I think there was like what 5 Silent Night, Deadly Night movies. Like,
and they're remaking they're doing another remake that's coming out this Christmas. Have you heard about that?
Did not know about that.
So I think it's being produced by, I think it's the Bloody Disgusting people are helping to produce it. And it's this director, Mike P. Nelson, I think is his name. And they've got, I don't know if you ever watched Halloween Ends, but the guy that plays Corey Cunningham, Rowan Campbell, is
Oh,
he's going to play Billy in the Silent Night, Deadly Night remake. And I think that's like brilliant casting, especially based on,
yeah,
how the kind of character Corey was. I was like, oh, well, I can totally see this. So there you go. I broke that news for you. So you have something to look
yeah.
forward to this
I had no
December,
idea.
right? And I'd
I'm
imagine
looking
you're
forward to it
probably,
already.
are you a Return of the Living Dead kind of fan as well? You like
Oh
that?
yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Because I think that they're doing like a reboot of the original. I don't know if you ever saw that teaser of like Tarman dragging a Christmas tree, because this
I
Christmas they're doing
did. And
a reboot of that.
Now that you say that, I do remember that now. Yep, you're absolutely
Yeah.
right.
So a whole bunch of exciting stuff. What about like, do you get down with any like the Terrifier kind of wild stuff? I like that stuff's pretty extreme. Even for me, I'm like, oh gosh, I'll watch it because I do this. I talk about horror on the channel. I don't know if I would really
Sure.
watch those movies if not, though.
So, as a general rule, like I don't mind blood and guts and horror and stuff like that. I don't mind it,
Mhm.
but it's okay to use in movies. It doesn't bother me like emotionally or anything. But sometimes I'm just
Yeah.
like, just get on with the story already. This just goes through my mind. And
Yeah.
uh, uh, when I think about like that movie, like the movie Hostel that came out, like whenever it was 20 years ago,
Yeah.
and I'm like, dude, this movie, like, there was no point in me watching this movie. It was literally just like, let's just show some fucked up stuff, and that's the end of the movie.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, well, but I will say this: that I've only seen the first Terrifier movie, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Like, I
Okay.
really enjoyed the first Terrifier movie. I have not seen the two or the last one, the Christmas one, the third one, but I did really enjoy the first one because I was like, this is actually kind of just a. I appreciated the low budgetness of it. Like
Yeah.
I was this is. It didn't feel like a callback to an '80s movie, but it kind of was because it was like it was a creature feature almost, and it was like
Yeah.
some crazy maniacal clown, and it was shot like all in like one set, and I was like, I really could enjoy this. That's the type of movies I tend to enjoy. Is like if you have like a shoestring budget and you can still make a really cool movie, then I am all about it.
Yeah, it definitely has that kind of grindhouse sort of feel, and the
Yeah,
practical effects are just super impressive. I mean, the
very.
first movie to me, I'm almost like, is there really a story? I'm like, it really is almost just like a series of skits, kind of, with some of the
Yeah,
characters, going through the skits like together, but it is almost like these little vignettes. That first one. Yeah, I mean, it is interesting. Like sometimes I think Terrifier for me starts to feel like pretty mean spirited, and so I'm like, there's
yeah,
some times where I'm like, oh man, even for me, like this is like I've got a cold black heart, but even for me, this is pretty rough stuff. But I will say this: if you do, there's way more story in the second film and in the third film. I'm very much hoping that we get like a true story driven fourth film, because it's just been kind of breadcrumbs in part 2 and part 3, but there's a little bit, and they maintain that look, man. It is still very gritty. Yeah, it looks like, something that like Tarantino would have watched when he was a kid or something like that. It's just
sure.
got that 70s kind of exploitation look going. Yeah, interesting, cool. I'm always curious just to know what people think about, because that's sort of like the new wave of horror that we're in right now. Not everyone's going to rise to that level of Terrifier, but it certainly has its imitators now that it's, become so
Yeah,
wildly successful. Very cool. Let's see here. Dean says, I love Return of the Living Dead 3. Really want to see a new cut of the movie. Oh, they got some new footage or something, or just a different cut. Hell yeah. That's one I still need to see, that third one. And I've heard it's really, really fun. And kind of
Return
sexy.
of the
So
Living Dead 3.
I think
Oh, I'm
3 is the
thinking.
one. It's the
I was
one that's
trying to
got
think which one it was.
it's got the chick that was like, she was one of the moms in that TV show called The OC. What's her name? And she has like all sorts of like metal and like all sorts of like
Oh,
barbed wire
yeah,
and razors and
I know.
stuff in her face.
Yep,
And
yep, I know what you're talking about now. So
um,
what's really
but
funny, I was actually when you mentioned that, my mind went to Sometimes They Come Back Part 3. My brain went to
Oh,
that movie,
gotcha.
and I was like, hey, which one is this? But yeah, it's totally random movie.
Yeah, no worries at all. So is there anything punk rock related or horror related that you're looking forward to for the rest of the year? You got any movies you're keeping an eye on, or new records coming out that you're looking out for?
Honestly, all I know is that Alkaline Trio put out a new single, a new 7-inch, and I pressed order right away. And I'm also keeping tabs on People of Punk Rock Records because they keep reissuing Dogwood records and random
Nice.
stuff that I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like I can finally have a copy of Building a Better Me on vinyl. I can have a copy of all those great records that I love. Those are getting reissued. Um, there's always something that they end up putting out, and they're based in Canada. They have tons of really cool catalog.
Mhm.
A lot of Canadian bands, which is totally fine.
Yeah.
Uh, but as far as like anything that I'm excited about coming up, not really. Just like when I really wish like I was more in tune with like what movies are coming out and stuff like that. I used to really go to the theater all the time, uh, but I just really haven't been in a couple of years. And there's a lot of stuff I really want to go see and do and watch. And also when I think about new movies coming out, I'm like, dude, I still have like 1,000 movies I have not watched sitting right here, and I have not watched
True.
them yet. And
Yeah.
so I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna like grab something, or I'm gonna do something else.
There's
But
always so much to catch up on for sure. And yeah, I've recently gone through like a pretty big life change within the last like 6 months or so, and I'm like, I'm gonna catch up on all these movies I missed like in the last handful of years, and I'm gonna go to the theater a whole bunch more and just pour myself into the channel because I was kind of holding back on a lot of that stuff. So I totally hear you. I'm always like, God, I still need to watch this. I still need to watch that. People
yeah,
talk about like I just watched Barbarian for the first time a few weeks ago. It's like movies that people have been telling me to watch forever that I am so just far behind. Everyone in the chat can call me out here because they know exactly what I'm talking about. But
right,
yeah, fair enough. I get it. Life is life is like a Tetris. It's like a game of Tetris. It's just the blocks
right,
keep on coming. They just seem to fall faster as we age. And especially,
yeah,
working a 9 to 5 and then, pouring yourself into your passion, aside from that, it's like, I totally get it. It's the work that you do here with TV Snack Break is awesome stuff, man. I really dig it. Like I said, it's a breath of fresh air scrolling through social media, getting to see something that like gives me a chuckle. I do want to kind of wrap things up with you because I know I think I told you we'd talk like 30 minutes to 45 minutes, and here we are going on an hour. But I am curious to know before we let you go, Jonathan, have you had some of these bands reach out once they see your work? And if you have, are most of them pretty cool about it? Has anyone been a jerk about it? You don't have to say which ones. If so, I'm just curious to know what the response has been like from the folks who you're homaging here with your work.
So I can say this: 100% have not ran into any jerks, and no one has been mean. Uh,
Awesome.
uh, I have had a good amount of shares, likes, messages from Lars Frederiksen, the Vandals, lots of other different bands that are just like, I love this. This is great, and no one has ever complained to me. No band has ever complained to me. I've had
That's awesome.
uh, uh, I haven't really had any uh, actors from any movies or TV shows complain to me. I haven't had, I've literally had no negative feedback. Uh, the only negative stuff that I've ever really encountered with is just, you know, you're not going to gel with everybody in the comment section. So
Oh my
this,
goodness.
but I don't really care. I'm
Yeah.
like, that's why they're called comments. It's not conversations. So I don't really need to don't really need to like fool with some of that. But I've,
Yeah.
you know what, I have had a good amount of bands. When I see like, we talked about Five Iron earlier. Like, I know like they'll wear my shirts out on tour, and uh,
That's amazing. That's beautiful.
there's just like, you know, Ian from Aquabats has my shirts, and he wears my stuff out on tour. There's just like stuff like that that I kind of get beside myself. I'm like, how is
Yeah.
this possible? Like, how are these people liking what this stupid thing that I just did on my iPad? And they're like, I will wear that on my shirt. And
Yeah.
it's cool when people like, and I guess punk rock is a good community for that, because I just don't see like, well, I was gonna say, there's definitely going to be gatekeeping in everything, right?
Sure.
So, but I haven't really ran across anyone that's been overtly a jerk to me about whatever I've done. I have Now. There's always going to be people that are like, "You should have done this," or "You should have done that,"
Oh, geez.
and that's always
Like, go make your
like,
own shit then.
yeah, yeah. That's just kind of, but that happens with everybody, like. So I'm not alone in that boat.
Yeah.
Only thing that, when there's like people that are, the cool thing to me is like other people that do stuff like what I do. Thrill House is one of the best in the game. There's Simpsons Core has been doing it for years. Uh, Skater Dave has been drawing Simpsons parodies with punk rock and metal records for a long time. There's so many people that kind of do what I do. The
Hmm.
most rewarding thing is not being kicked out of that circle, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I don't like it's not like, there's always like, I'm not stepping on your toes, am I? I'm not stepping on your toes. And there's always
Sure.
like things where you worry about like, hey, I'm not stealing your idea, you're not stealing my idea. We're just doing what we can to like just have fun doing what we're doing. And sometimes my skills are not as good as that person's skills, or vice versa. And so it's, one thing that I do appreciate more than anything is just like being able to communicate with other artists that make a living doing this stuff when I
Mhm.
can't do that. And I'm like, you know what? You're like, you've got everything going on. Thanks for being cool with me and let me in the cool punk rock nerd meme circle.
Hell yeah. No, that's amazing. It's really cool to hear that people aren't, so precious about it, like within that world, that they understand and appreciate what you're doing, both the artists that you're parodying, and then, the other folks that are kind of in that same circle. That's awesome. I mean, community is, it'll get you through the toughest times, and then you can celebrate your wins with those people as well. So, that's awesome, man. Especially that's got to be crazy having people in these bands wearing your shirts. Have you had anyone reach out and be like, and ask you to do album artwork? Have you ever had anything like that happen?
No, no one famous or anything. No bands or anything. Uh, but I have done some album artwork for a few different bands,
Sweet.
and it's really just fun cut and paste stuff. I would totally like to
Hmm.
promote my friend's band. Since I'm actually live, I can promote a band. He's in a band called Filthy Robot Brigade. So I would check out Filthy Robot Brigade, and I've done the
Filthy.
album art for them.
Nice. Let's see here.
And
On Bandcamp, it looks like, yep, Nashville. There we go. So
yeah,
you did
so
is this like the couple dancing, like the 60s couple dancing? Did you do that
yeah,
one? All right.
yep. So I'll
Yesterday
do,
Baile.
yep. So I've done a couple of different things like that, for people that will reach out to me and ask. Sometimes I just forget, and sometimes I don't remember who asked me to do what, because I get a lot in my inbox of stuff.
Hmm.
But nonetheless, it's cool. Like,
Yeah.
I enjoy doing. I'll get special requests sometimes, and I will do it. Like, there were times where like, someone will be like, you need to do a mashup of this band and this movie, and I'll get messages and DMs, and I'll be like, yeah, man, I'll get to that, and then, you know that happens. It's like, I prefer not to do that, but I will
Yeah.
definitely. But at the same time, I'll definitely want to do that. It's like I want to be engaged, and the more people, if people are engaged enough with me, I should be engaged back. And so I just want to make sure we're all in this doing this dumb stuff together.
Yeah. I mean, you're well on your way to 6,000 followers on Insta, so that's pretty awesome, man. That's
I
for
appreciate it.
doing this a couple of years, that's great. And yeah, I mean, it's I got the link, guys, for Filthy Robot Brigade, and that is that Fiesta de Baile punk rock extravaganza album. You can click on that link in the chat. That is some artwork that Jonathan here did for Filthy Robot Brigade. Yeah, it is. I would imagine, yeah, you have people that are always like, hey, you should do this. It's sort of one of those things that's like, I think people like within the creative sphere like know not to like reach out and tell artists what to do. It's almost like trying to pitch a joke to a comedian. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
Like kind of let them do their own thing. But also, yeah, like it's got to be cool to have that engagement. And then I would imagine that sometimes people's ideas you're like, but every now and then somebody gives you one where you're like, oh shit, yeah. How did I not think of that yet?
yeah, yeah,
That's
absolutely.
awesome.
And that has happened before. So I'm like, oh, dude, that's easy. Why, But but yeah, it's fun, and I enjoy doing it, and I enjoy talking to everybody. I'm pretty much a people person. I'll talk to
Yeah.
anybody about anything. If anyone messages me, I'll respond. Like, I'm just a normal dude that just hangs out in his office here, surrounded by toys, cassette tapes, videotapes, and dumb stuff. So
Yeah.
I'm happy to talk to anyone about whatever their suggestions are.
And I can attest to that, everyone in the chat or you folks watching after the fact, because we talk a lot of punk rock and fun stuff there in the DMs, Jonathan, leading up to your appearance here. So really appreciate you. And woo, look at that. Just like that, I've taken an hour of your night when I said 30 to 45 minutes. But I really do appreciate your time, man. It's been great, getting to know you a little bit just through the DMs,
Sure.
and even better, chatting with you here and learning about your roots as a punk rock fan and an artist, and as a horror fan as well. So thank you so much. Is there anything coming up that you want to pitch or anything? We've got the link to the official website is pinned in the chat. So folks can go over there if you want to grab some merch from TV Snack Break. Is there anything else that you've got coming up that you want to promote here?
Honestly, no. Just being honest with you, I have more designs that I'm working on. I was working on one last night, and I plan on doing some like maybe 2 new T-shirts next week. So we're going to see how that turns out and how much time I have available to work on that. But I think in the next 2 weeks I'm going to have some new stuff coming out.
Hell yeah. So guys, make sure I know some people are saying in the chat that once the show is over, they're going to go on over. There's the link for the official website is it's pinned in the chat. The link to the Instagram is in the description. I'm going to make sure to drop a couple other links in the description. So if you're watching this after the fact, those should all be in there. So you can check out Jonathan's work over at TV Snack Break, not just for fans of punk rock and pop punk and hardcore. If you're an 80s or 90s kid and you grew up watching all that TV and stuff, I'm sure you're going to get a kick out of the work. There's always a comparison on Instagram, so you can look at the parody and then look at the original art. So even if you don't know the music, you can still get the frame of reference and everything. So really fun stuff. And yeah, guys, like I said, it's a nice break when you're scrolling through social media to see something that's lighthearted and fun and creative. So thank you so much again, Jonathan, for kicking it with us, man. I hope you have a great rest of your night. Let's keep in touch. Maybe I don't know if you would want to ever do something like hop on for like a watch party. I love doing watch parties and having guests on. Maybe we could find some really fun schlocky shit to watch this spooky season if you're down.
Very, very, very possible. That could be cool.
Hell yeah. Awesome, man. Well, thank you again so much for your time. Really appreciate you. I hope you have a great rest of your night, and we'll talk soon.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much for having me on. It was nice talking to you.
Absolutely. Perfect. Awesome, man. Take care.
Take care, man.
All right, folks. Oh, it's nice to get back to having a guest on the show. It feels like it was, a couple weeks in between. You know, with Late Night with the Davey, I kind of like doing both. Sometimes it's fun when it's just me hanging out with you guys, chit-chatting about everything, but I do love getting to spend some time and making new friends. Honestly, it's like I love getting to know you guys here in the chat, and you know, through DMing with Jonathan over the last like month or two, you know, getting to know him a little bit, but also there's just another level of like breakthrough of really getting to know somebody when you get to see him face to face and talk to him. So really appreciate Jonathan for spending some time with us. Guys, make sure to follow him on Instagram. If you are a punk rock, pop punk fan, you're going to want to check out the official website and get some merch as well. So I love seeing stuff like this. And guys, also, if you're watching live or you're watching after the fact and, you know, maybe there's something kind of similar to this or some sort of like fun art or somebody that's a creative on Instagram, you know, that provides you that break from all the drama or whatever that we might see on social media, please feel free to share in the chat or share in the comments section. I'm always looking for, you know, creative stuff and some more lighthearted kind of stuff to throw in the mix with my follows there. Let's see here. Blazing Asian says, you're the best friend I never had, Jonathan. That's amazing. There we go. Jamie dropped the link for the Instagram. Thank you so much, Jamie. Really appreciate you. This was cool, John. It was a pleasure. Hope to see you soon. Yeah, guys, we'll bring it back. Maybe we'll do like a leprechaun kind of thing, or well, critters would be really fun too. We'll find a good creature feature to bring Jonathan on for. We got Ryan Olashow in the chat. How are you doing, Ryan? So great to see you. Gotta love a watch party, especially with a guest. They're really fun, Maxwell. I find that I don't mind doing them solo, especially if it's like, you know, the other week we did Day of the Dead. If it's a movie that I'm like so nerdy about and could just talk about the entire time, like straight through, you know, spitting facts and stories and whatever, you know, all the information I have from watching a documentary on the movie, like that's cool. But I think the most fun I have on watch parties is when I'm either on somebody else's channel as a guest or I have a guest on here. Like having Brian McPherson on to watch Dawn of the Dead was really, really fun. So yeah, we'll work some of those into this spooky season for sure. Fun times, John. Thanks for hanging out, brother. Hell yeah. Davey Deathray, thanks for the guest spot. You always have cool people on. Nice way to broaden the horizons. And that's, you know, that's what we want to do here with Late Night with the Davey, is just showcasing, you know, other creative folks that are out there that are, I just think, you know, as a species, we're meant to be creative. Now, that doesn't mean everyone is like artistically creative, but most of us create something, you know. Some people just create babies, and I'm say just create babies. I mean, you're basically creating life. But I just mean that not everyone is necessarily, you know, on the artistic side of the creation, but we do all create something, you know. So I love having people on and being able to showcase what they do. And we're going to get more into that here on Late Night with the Davey. Guys, this is the 54th episode, so we are marching along. I want to get on some more actors and filmmakers and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, we'll be pushing forward. Naked Gun, says Paula Fitzhenry. I love Naked Gun. I'm actually looking forward to the new one. The first trailer I loved. The teaser. The second trailer, I was like, I don't know. And then I saw like a couple little quick, you know, 15-second teasers that have dropped on social media, and I'm kind of back on the Naked Gun train. I think it's, you know, maybe even if everything doesn't work for me, I still think I'm gonna have a good time with Naked Gun. Critters or Tremors, yeah, those are two good ones for sure. Oh my god, I love Tremors so much. Yes, that was a good watch party. And Day of the Dead, yeah, I love Day of the Dead. What's happening? Eli Cortez, one of our great channel moderators and channel members and a pillar of the horror YouTube community, says, what's up, Davey and the mighty Death Squad? Don't forget to slash that like button and sub to this amazing channel. The thing I create most is stress on myself. Oh, I can definitely relate, Dean. You create on Enter the Cinevault, which Eli has dropped right there. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you. Liam Neeson as Frank Jr. Perfect. I think it's really good casting as well, Paula. I do think I I think he's looking really funny in the movie. So it'll just be, I'm interested to see what the overarching plot is going to be. You know, it doesn't have to be anything too highbrow or anything like that. But yeah, looking forward to the Naked Gun. I can draw and paint, not something I share often. There you go. Yeah, I used to be really into drawing when I was a kid. And then once I got into music, I was like, oh, I need to pick up a guitar. Yeah, it's therapeutic, you know, creating art. Sharing Jamie's channel. There you go. Dean can post his own links now. That's true. Dean Renner is our newest Death Squad mod. There you go. Maxwell says, definitely, I was actually thinking of having guests on my channel also for reviews or just live streams. Yeah, topical discussion, like pick a topic that you know somebody's like into, or have a friendly debate or a versus battle. Like there's all sorts of really fun stuff you can do with guests on the channel. So yeah, I totally encourage you to do that. And it's cool seeing you, you know, jump on the lives, Max. You know, you'll just get more comfortable, and you know, you'll find a groove, and you'll have more fun as you keep on doing it. My great-grandmother was a political cartoonist for the Buffalo News in the early 20th century. That is, oh, great-grandfather. Did I say grandmother for some reason? Guys, I'm sorry. I streamed for 10 hours and 45 minutes last night. It was brutally epic, so I'm still gathering my wits. But Jamie Hart's great-grandfather, political cartoonist for the Buffalo News. That's amazing. That's so cool. Do you have any of the drawings? I'd be down to see him. Or if you want to, what was your great grandfather's name? Maybe we can look him up. Maybe we can find him on Google. Let's see here. Eli, thank you. There we go. Yeah, welcome to the mod squad, Dean. Dino. Oh my goodness, guys. We're at an hour and a half, but I went for almost 11 hours yesterday, so I'm probably going to cut this one relatively short, so I can hydrate and have a little bite to eat, and you know, put on a movie and just doze right off. That's my plans here for the evening. But yeah, hopefully you guys have got something fun or another stream you can jump on. I know I usually go a little bit longer with Late Night with the Davey. Max says, yeah, bro, and perhaps in the future we can collab again. There you go, dude. Anytime, just reach out to me. We'll put something together for sure. You know, I try to not fill my plate up too much, but like August is looking pretty open as far as I know right now. So whenever you're ready, shoot me a message and we'll put something together. Yeah, 10-hour stream is diabolic. Yeah. Did I miss the party? You did miss the interview part of Late Night with the Davey, and yeah, I'm kind of in the midst of my signing off, Uncle Filthy, because I was live for almost 11 hours last night. So crazy stuff. Dude, that Clive Barker autographed edition of the new Hellraiser game sold out in 24 hours. I bet you're pumped that you picked one up. I don't have any of them. Family sold them off long ago. It's a sensitive subject. Oh, well, maybe we still might be able to look them up. There you go. We got Maxwell King Horror channel. Link in the chat, guys. So check out Maxwell's channel if you haven't already. He's just getting into the live game, but he's been doing reviews and all sorts of fun stuff like that on the channel. So check out his stuff. Give him a sub. It's free, right? And the thing about subbing is, like, if you ever find like, oh yeah, maybe this isn't for me, yeah, not a big deal. That's why I always encourage people, just sub right away. Let him pop up in your feed a few times. Give him a chance. You know what I mean? But yeah, guys, that is going to wrap it up here for this edition of Late Night with the Davey, episode 54. Can you believe it? And yeah, guys, if you want to see some crazy antics, you can check out that 11-hour stream from last night. Gets all over the place. I can't believe I did that. Medley Man wants me to do more of them. I don't know. In the future, though, maybe I think sometime this fall, I am going to do a subathon / charity fundraiser. So I may go, 8 to 10 hours in a row or something and bring on guests, raise money for a local food bank here in the Phoenix area. And maybe, you know, it'd be really cool to, as part of the subathon, it would be great to be able to like maybe reach that 2,000 subscriber goal during the subathon would be really cool as well. Yes, thank you, Eli. Don't forget to check out the new Death Squad merch on the Fourth Wall shop. Link in the description below, guys. There's Death Squad merch. That's for you guys, so to represent the amazing community that you all have built here. And then there's also brand new, our Jamie Hart line, which is, I saw that in the theater. So there's a whole bunch of fun merch for that. And then pretty much every, Late Night with the Davies got merch. There's all sorts of fun stuff at the Fourth Wall Shop, all very affordable as well. And if you use the promo code, I don't know if I have the promo code in this banner that's running right now. There you go. Promo code Death Squad for 15% off, guys. So, helps you save a little bit of cash there. Thank you so much for sharing that, Eli. You guys have been amazing. Really appreciate the Patreon members, our YouTube channel members as well, and of course our amazing group of Death Squad mods. Newest to the team, Dean Renner. Welcome to the Mod Squad, Dean. You guys have been beautiful. I will be back tomorrow on Flet's Movies and Pop Culture 13. We're going to be doing a watch party of Jaws. So I will share that here on the channel. On Friday, I am planning on being on Dark Room Reviews with Joel to talk about our top 10 horror movies of the 2020s so far. And then who knows what's happening this weekend. Oh, actually, you know what? I'm going to be dropping the Jacob Hare interview. He is a supervising director over at Rick and Morty. He's an Emmy award-winning director from that show. He directed the Vat of Acid episode. I believe it was season 4. Had a great chat with Jake about his journey as an artist, from being a kid to becoming a professional and reaching amazing success there. And also, guys, he's a really big horror nerd. We talk a lot about scary movies and all that kind of stuff and just what inspires him and what makes him tick as a horror fan. So really fun stuff. That will be dropping hopefully within the next day or two. I'll be dropping that one. So I'll share that on the channel as well. And yeah, we're going to get into more antics. Next Wednesday, we're doing a Late Night with the Davey Before Dark with M from Horror Her. I'm super pumped to have M on the channel. I love her content. If you've not subscribed over at Horror Her, you gotta give her a shot. Her voice is incredible. She has a lovely British accent, but just the character and quality of her voice is great. And I really do love the content. She talks a lot about Scream and all that kind of stuff there. There's just something about the cadence. You put on one of her videos and you get these succinct thoughts and analysis on these movies and theories and stuff like that. And the way that I don't know if she scripts what she does or if it's just off the cuff, but there's something about the rhythm to her style that is just infectious. So I'm super pumped to have her on the channel. That'll be next Wednesday. I believe that'll be 2 p.m. Eastern. So it's going to be before the dark because she's all the way across the pond. But yeah, tons of fun stuff going on. This is the, what do they call this? The Midwest goodbye when you take forever to say goodbye. But I appreciate the hell out of you guys. I love you all so much. I really do mean that. You guys mean the world to me. Last night during that epic stream, I wouldn't have gone for 11 hours if it weren't, I think the lowest we got was like 17 people. People were going to bed and waking up and jumping back into the stream. That's how awesome you guys were hanging out in the chat and kicking it with us. So you guys are amazing. I love you all. I'll see you tomorrow on Flet's Movies and Pop Culture 13. If you haven't participated in the polls that are on the channel, check out our community tab and participate in those polls because I want to get your guys' thoughts on a couple things. And I'm considering starting an ASMR channel. Fucking crazy, right? Isn't that wild? Let me know in the comments if you think I should or shouldn't. Anyways, guys, that's going to do it for me here on Late Night with the Davey, episode 54. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and I'll see you sometime soon. But until next time, I've been and will continue being Davey Deathray. Take care.